One of the things that I've always found interesting about the 1990s era of Star Wars publishing before the prequels is the exploration of Luke's new Jedi Order and how it operated in a world where neither Luke in-universe nor the audience out-of-universe really knew what Jedi were like. In some cases, authors made some pretty off-base assumptions, like that Obi-Wan and Yoda were hermits on Tatooine and Dagobah for a really long time, and that the Order as a whole tended to operate that way, but it was understandable since there was really only the original trilogy to work off of. The interesting part is that we got to see, as readers, Luke struggling to solve these mysteries and make sense of the Order in a galaxy where their history had been erased, while we still weren't sure of how that would shake out either. With Luke not properly finishing his training with Yoda, and having been around Obi-Wan for so little time, his very compressed training was naturally focused more on the specifics he'd need to know to take down the Sith, rather than the broader Jedi philosophy that Jedi used to spend their entire young lives learning, which actually becomes part of a broader sticking point with certain failures of Luke as both a Jedi and a teacher, brought up by some of his students like Corran Horn and Mara Jade. But did Yoda have time to teach him any of these extra Jedi tenets? Particularly, did Yoda teach Luke about attachments and the Jedi rules on them? We've recently seen Luke warning Grogu of the dangers that can come of attachments in the Book of Boba Fett, so we know he learned it somewhere in new canon, but did Yoda get around to it in Legends? It turns out that yes, this was actually one of the few things that Yoda did get around to sharing. In Timothy Zahn's Vision of the Future, Luke gets engaged to Mara Jade, which would have been something of a problem in the old Jedi Order. This was written in 1998 though, so there was no reason to believe that would have been the case. Their actual wedding was covered in the Union comic series, and then the novel Survivor's Quest picks up the story of the couple a few short years into their marriage. This book was written in 2004, before Revenge of the Sith but after Attack of the Clones, so we had a much better idea of the original Jedi Order than we had in 1998. In this book, Luke is examining his relationship with Mara and explicitly mentions the Jedi opinion on attachments. Quote, "Hovering in the background behind all their happiness and success was the distant echo of Yoda's stories of the old Jedi Order during Luke's training on Dagobah, specifically the part about Jedi keeping themselves out of precisely this kind of love relationship." Luke then muses about what that could mean. Had he been wrong to get married to Mara? Had Yoda been wrong, and even wondering if bringing the Force into balance at Endor may have changed the nature of that rule? I'm of two minds on Luke having learned this from Yoda myself, honestly. I think it could have worked just as well or even better if this was something that Luke learned after the fact, instead of having to essentially retcon it as something that Luke had known all along. We could have then seen Luke try to wrestle with that and reconcile his position, rather than just have it be something that he had dismissed out of hand earlier and now was relevant again. In any case, while it doesn't receive a huge amount of play in the expanded universe, it does give an in-universe opportunity to examine a pretty popular topic, which Survivor's Quest goes a little bit into. Were the Jedi wrong on this? We rarely get to see any discussion from Yoda himself on what the failings of the Jedi may have been during his exile, and one of the places we do see that is in new canon in The Last Jedi, in the scenes between Luke and Yoda, where Yoda essentially suggests that the Jedi need to move past what they had been before. Through this, we do get a sense of what Luke would have been struggling with in both continuities, really, trying to live up to the legacy of an institution he felt the need to rebuild, and which had really been this idealized mythical thing in his mind, while still having to be open to understanding why it fell in the first place, and how it may need to change going forward, which members of the original Jedi Order would have been in a better position to see without the rose-tinted glasses of only having looked up to them as mentors. There are actually a few characters who go from being members of the original Jedi Order to being members of Luke's new Jedi Order, but it doesn't often result in specific discussions about what it meant to be in one versus the other. Over the course of the new Jedi Order books, the Dark Nest trilogy, Legacy of the Force, and then Fate of the Jedi, which were all coming out around the time of the prequel trilogy into the end of the publishing of the original expanded universe, there were a lot of changes that came into Luke's Jedi Order, some of which were adapted from the original setup of the Order, and some of which were responses to things that had happened to the new Jedi Order itself. The way that information revealed by George Lucas played into what was being published in stories set decades later must have been a difficult balancing act for the authors responsible, so I do like that it was able to, overall, add to the stories rather than sticking out as a much bigger source for conflicts, as it easily could have. There are definitely inconsistencies and problems that it raises, but overall I think it works well, and it's definitely something I'm going to try to keep my eye on as we get into the new Jedi Order series on Tapcaf transmissions. That's going to do it for today. I do have some longer topics which I've been thinking about while rereading the Hand of Thrawn and Survivor's Quest books, which I'll hopefully be able to start tackling next week, along with potentially our next animated timeline video. I've been focusing a lot on mod work for our Fall of the Republic release in the last little while, but now that that's out, I should have a bit more time to focus back on Datapad. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.